Today I'm going to talk a little bit about visualization, and also Jeff Adler is going to help me with a little bit talk about Twinmotion after my presentation. So what I'm going to talk about is visualization, basically, a little bit about why and a little bit more about how, because that's where we usually have the most questions. So let's start with why we should use XR. It's quite simple, because the more and the better we can show people what we're designing and what we're thinking, the better it is. The faster we can get feedback, the better it is, because like you saw before, the earlier in the process that we can do changes and adaptations, it's better, it's cheaper, it's faster. So if we can show our customers or whoever it is who needs to see this, what we're doing, the better it is. And there are different ways to do this. So the second most common question I get usually is, why should I use XR? And it's very simple, like I just said. We are visual beings. We like to see things. It's hard to understand drawings for some people. So if we can do some nice visuals or use VR or AR to make it easier to make better decisions, that's a good thing. Another question I do get is, what do we need? So to get from my drawings or whatever, or from my ideas to VR or AR, or however you want to look at it, there's a couple of things that you need. And it's basically three things. You need the data. The data you usually already have. You have your Revit data. You have maybe Navisworks, a collection of data in Navisworks, or any other type of 3D models that we get from subcontractors or architects or wherever it is. This data we need to take into some kind of software that can handle the VR or AR presentation. We got a few to choose from. Obviously, we got Twinmotion if we want to make nice visuals. We also got Autodesk got a tool called VRED, which is it's a little bit more into automotive design and maybe furnitures and stuff like that. But it's still a tool that we can use when we need that type of materials and visualizations. We also have other tools. We have Unity and Unreal, which are game engines. And these game engines we can use when Twinmotion or VRED are not enough to create all the behaviors and all the features that we want, or if we have a specific hardware that we want to use that's not supported in Twinmotion or VRED. So it's kind of the next level if you want to do something out a little bit more advanced. Then we go to the game engines, and they're very good at this because they're made to handle large amounts of data. They're good at handling different hardwares. They're very optimized when it comes to performance, so it's good. We also need some hardware, because there is no looking at VR or AR if you don't have the correct hardware to use. And a little bit depending on what you want to do, you need to find the correct hardware. You need to find hardware that works for your use case and your customers. So I'm going to run through a little bit of the hardware here because there is quite a few different solutions to choose from. So I'm going to walk you through them and talk a little bit about what and why you want to use them. Sorry, I missed this slide. So let's go back to software. There's actually some news that came at AU. And Autodesk has not really released, but outed a software called Autodesk Workshop XR, which will be a tool to take data from Revit and some of the other AEC tools into VR and AR. This is not released yet, So I haven't been able to get some samples of it to show you yet, but Autodesk is telling us that this will be out in hopefully Q1. That's the latest I've heard from them. And it's basically a one-click solution from the cloud, from Autodesk Cloud, to a tool where you can set up your XR things. But again, you have to be within the constraints of what this supports then. So, but it's going to make quick and simple visualizations and VR experiences very quick and easy to do. So we're really looking forward to this. And as soon as we get more information, we're going to share it with you. And we're also going to do presentations and webinars and stuff as soon as we get our hands on it. So if you're interested in this, you can go into the Autodesk website and you can sign up and you will get fed information from Autodesk too. So now let's look at the hardware. If we want to do VR, then we're going to need a VR headset. So this is probably the most common one. It's a Vive Pro. It's really kind of good. The drawback that this one has, if you want to look at it that way, is that it's got a cable to the PC because it's PC VR. It's also got lighthouses, which is the boxes that you see on top there, which keeps track of the position of the headset and the hand controllers. So you have to set this up in your VR space. And it's a bit cumbersome, but it gives you a very good tracking experience. So the drawback is that you need to set it up, but then again, you get a better experiencing when using VR. So you have to take the good with the bad. So this is probably the oldest one that we have to choose from. And if we look at other, then we can look at the newest one also, because this is the new Varjo XR4. It was actually released yesterday. It's a super headset. It's got super high resolution. It's got super good see-through, so you can also do augmented reality, AR, with this. It's amazing in every way. It's also quite much more expensive than the Vive. So, but if you have the need for super good, high quality VR, this is the new thing to put on your wish list. So it was just released yesterday, and it's going to be delivering is starting also early in in a couple of weeks, they told us, so probably Q1. But this is a very nice headset if you want super good quality. It can also do with the lighthouses, but it can also live without them. So it's got inside-out tracking, so it's a little bit easier, but you do need a computer to run it. It's not a standalone headset. There's a cable to a computer. And that's the difference between these headsets and the next one. The next one is a standalone headset, such it's called. This one doesn't need a cable to your PC, which is very good, you think, but then you're limited in performance. So these standalone headsets usually are not very good at showing large amounts of data. So what you usually will have to do is get a cable to the PC anyway, because you need the compute performance of the computer. But the Meta headset, this is the Meta 3 headset, and it's a really good headset, and it's fairly cheap. But again, it's a Meta headset, and they will use your information for their marketing and so on. So yeah, cheap, but again, there's a drawback. But it's for what you're paying for. It is a super good headset. And then we have a new thing also that hasn't really been released yet. This is the Apple Vision Pro headset. Nobody really knows what this one is meant to be yet. It's not really. It's only been out there. There are a few headsets around the world that people can try, but it's not out on the market yet. The big difference here, if you compare to all of the other ones is that it's kind of a mix between a standalone and a PC VR, because it's actually got a built-in a real computer built into it, and that's the little box with the cable. So you will have to have this little box in your pocket or clipped in your belt or something like that to use this. But that, on the other hand, gives you quite a lot of compute power. It's kind of like a laptop that you're carrying with you, connected to the headset, which give you nice performance, but with a standalone scenario. It's not really a VR headset or AR headset. It's something in between, and it's going to be really interesting to see how we can use this type of device once it's available. It's also fairly expensive because it's got a full computer in it. So it's not just a display device, it's a full computer. It's kind of like a laptop. So you're paying for the whole laptop and you get this device. But it's going to be really interesting to see what it can do and what kind of performance it has when it comes to showing our type of data. So this is really, really interesting. And then if we go to AR, which is augmented reality, it's kind of floating together now, because some of these headsets that we looked at now, the Vario one, the Apple one, and the Meta one, they can do the see-through AR, but it's not. It's kind of a mix because you still have cameras recording it. So yeah, mixed reality, augmented reality, everything is floating together now into one common solution, basically. But if you're looking at more at AR, the commonly used AR, very common is to use iPads because they're really nice to hold in your hand. You don't have to put it on your head. So this is really good if you have trade shows and stuff like that. Or we have real headsets that are augmented reality, but they're not that common anymore. This is the Microsoft one, and it's more or less outdated now. It's a couple of years old, and there's no information about a new one coming right now. So we'll see what happens with these ones. And then there are a couple of other, but they're still quite expensive and specialized. But the Microsoft one is really good at what it does. Performance, though, is not very good, again, because it's a standalone device. You don't need a cable to it. So the compute power is what you have in your headset. And then we also have another way to look at this type of data, which is not AR or VR, but we're still using the same data. And the thing that I'm going to show you now, we call a visualization table. It's a way to navigate in the 3D world without any training. You're seeing the 3D model on a monitor or a TV, and it's very good for trade shows or where you are more than one person. So I'm going to show you a video now of that. So you can see you have your 3D model on the TV, and then you have the visualization table where you're actually moving objects. So right now we're moving just the camera, and you're standing on a drawing basically of the building, the office, and then you can interact with it by putting on these markers. So the first marker started the video, the second marker starts the lights. You can zoom in and zoom out and choose different stories of your building or whatever. And it's really, really good to use when you have people who are not used to navigating the 3D world, or if you are a group of people and you don't want to pass the headset around, basically. So there are many different ways to do visualizations today.